Howdy folks. This week I plan on replacing the rug-like material that's just laying on top of the subfloor in my camper with an actual hardwood flooring material. While we were on our most recent trip, I realized that I didn't have a good way to keep things clean in here as the dirt started to pile up. We weren't traveling with one of these guys, so there's really no way to get things clean in here. So that's when I decided that I would instead just replace the whole thing with an actual hardwood floor. That way I could just sweep as I go, and it's just that much easier to clean out. Also, for aesthetic purposes, I kind of knew that I was going to be replacing the rug eventually. When I got the cabin, that's what was in here, but I knew that one of these days I'd get around to doing it. And that day has come. The rug actually looks pretty good in here. I feel like it complements the design, the aesthetic of the cabin pretty well. But it's coming out and we're putting some new flooring in. Right underneath the thin carpet rug material, I have my subfloor. And as you could probably tell, the subfloor is just bare wood. It's not sealed or anything like that. So before I lay down the new floor, I'm going to use the opportunity to seal up the subfloor with a mold and mildew primer. That way I don't have to worry about moisture seeping down into the subfloor and rotting it out or causing any kind of mold and mildew. Pooped. Right now I'm headed into Home Depot to pick up the mold and mildew primer, and I'm also going to get a couple samples of the different flooring options. I don't know exactly what color I want to get just yet, but that's okay because I live right down the street anyway, so I could just make a couple trips back and forth. No big deal. What I'm thinking could look really good is like a really dark wood color like this, like it almost just looks black. I feel like I have a lot of light colors in the cabin right now, so if I go with something, you know, like that, even more like this, that's just gonna really match all of the rest of the wood, which could look good too, but that's why I wanted to come in here and get a couple samples to compare. Samples there. It appears they do not have any samples of any of the darker colors, and you have to order that online anyways. So I guess I'm just gonna go home and see what this would look like and then go from there. I am tempted though with the dark stuff. Looks really good. Okay, back home now. I got everything that I should need to prepare the subfloor. This is the mold and mildew primer that I was talking about. It's a water-based primer and should do a good job at preventing any funkiness underneath the flooring. So to start with, I'm going to remove this carpet and get the subfloor all cleaned up and ready to go. I currently just have my fridge held in place with this ratchet strap here, which admittedly is a little bit janky looking, but it works. When I made this support beam for installing my table mount, I actually just screwed the whole beam right down on top of the carpet. So I think first I'm going to remove this. That way I could get the carpet out from underneath. At first I was just gonna cut around it and leave the carpet under there and not mess with it, but I feel like that's the lazy thing to do. So after testing out the sample, I decided that I like how it looks, and I was gonna move forward with this color here. See how it matches the rest of the cabin quite nicely. But then I thought, what if I found a flooring that matches this trim, this like reddish, red oak trim, I believe it is. See how I have all of those accent pieces kind of around the cabin? I feel like if I got flooring that matched those accent pieces, that could also potentially look very nice. As it turns out, I had some leftover kills from a previous project, so I'm gonna start off by using that, and then we'll see how much that covers and if I need to open up the new can. Realistically, I don't know if this step is absolutely necessary, but the way I see it, it's not gonna hurt. It's only gonna provide protection against all of the moisture that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. And since I'm here anyways, working on the subfloor, laying down new flooring, this would be the perfect opportunity to do this. So here we are. I don't think the can had too much in there. Gonna have to switch to the new can pretty shortly here. Alright folks, the subfloor is fully sealed up with the mold and mildew primer. Now comes the fun part of laying down the actual flooring. So originally I was thinking I would use this light color flooring and it would match the cabin really nicely. But while I was at Home Depot, I saw this reddish color. It's some kind of oak, it's like a red oak of some sort. And I thought that this would be very complementary to all of this red oak accent colors that I have in here. And so that's the color that I ended up going with. This is also not the luxury vinyl plank that this is, that I was originally planning on installing. That stuff was freaking expensive. This is hardwood laminate flooring. It's still laminate. It still should be easy as this stuff to install, but this was half the cost. And I was able to get 2 boxes of this stuff for basically the price of 1 box of this. So it was a win-win. I think I like this color more, and I think that'll work out fine. Kind of looks more like actual wood too. This you could tell it's really fake. This looks like real wood. So I've actually installed flooring in a camper once before. That was during the Slumber Queen renovation many moons ago. And from what I remember, it was a relatively simple and straightforward install. Could be a little bit challenging and tricky to cut the actual boards since I don't have like a proper laminate floor cutting tool. So instead I'm gonna try out a couple other methods, and either way, should be pretty easy. The floor in here is a big rectangle, so I won't really have to work with or work around too many things kind of like sticking out into the floor, which is fortunate. But without further ado, let's just get going. So first of all, I am gonna actually just reinstall the table mount. That's the one thing that I'm gonna have to work around. I don't wanna install this on top of the flooring and then drill into the laminate flooring. I don't think you're supposed to do that. So instead, I'm just gonna reattach this now, then we'll work around it. We'll cut the flooring around it. First piece is gonna go down right there. Next, we got this guy here. I believe you just lock it on like that. All right, a little piece of scrap wood here. You kind of just kind of knock it together like that to lock those pieces together. So one thing to point out is when I joined these two planks together, it seemed to kind of have a slight protrusion into the air, like a little mountain, and it wouldn't really flatten down at first. And at first I thought that it wasn't interlocking properly and something was off, but after I kind of just like walked around on it a little bit and things started to settle in, that little mountain shape kind of eventually flattened out, and now it seems like it's a perfectly flattened, straight, and properly locked joint. 27. What I think I'm gonna do is I'll have the subfloor end right here, and then I'll put some kind of trim molding on the end. That way there's a nice finished look here. So what I did there was I took the new plank and I attached the long side first, and I got that locked into place, and then I kind of flattened the plank down, and I went on over to this side and I used this test piece on the end here, as well as this rubber mallet to kind of just smack it going this way, and that's how the short side locks in together. So basically you want to lock in the long side first, and then you kind of flatten it down and you just hit it from the end and get the short side to lock in second. Now you totally could cut shorter pieces and kind of stagger it more, I would imagine, if you want that look, but to me it's not worth it. I'd rather just use less material and make less cuts, especially because it's going to be in such a small area. It doesn't really matter too much. I do just want to point out that my jigsaw cuts aren't the straightest cuts, definitely not my strong forte, but all of my cut edges are going up against the edges of the camper walls, so they're going to be covered with the molding, the quarter round molding anyways, so it honestly doesn't matter that the cuts aren't that straight. Otherwise, if they weren't going to be covered up, I'd probably do a better job trying to keep the cuts nice and straight. Pretty crazy that I've only finished about half of the camper and I already went through an entire box. Imagine how much you need to do a whole house. I just want to point out that you definitely don't want to hit the little edge here directly, even if you just have a rubber mallet. I kind of gave it a few very gentle taps just to try to straighten things out. And then I found that I was having an issue locking the next plank into that one because the little lip where the two sides interlock into each other, the little lip kind of got smashed in, even just barely tapping it with a rubber mallet. So you definitely want to make sure that you're using another piece of wood when you're tapping these in, because now this entire piece here is useless because it won't lock into the next piece. So far, all I've had to do was make one vertical cut and everything was able to just stack up next to each other nicely. Now I'm at a point where once I lay this next plank down, I'm gonna have to cut out a notch to go around the door jamb here. So sometimes I have really bad brain farts when I'm working on projects. A good example is this piece right here. I cut out the notch, but I kind of did the inverse of what I really want. And you see how on this side, it extends out past the other planks here. And then on this side, it doesn't go all the way to the wall. So what I wanted to do is I should have cut out a notch on this side and had this side extend all the way to the wall. So a little bit of a brain fart moment, but that's okay. I'll salvage this piece another way and I'll just cut a new one with this. Here is the new cut, and that should do the trick. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but as you can see, it looks like it's gonna fit perfectly. All right, it is looking good in here. Now all that's left to do is the most challenging part, and I basically have to rip the planks lengthwise since they won't fit in this small gap here. All right, folks, the moment of truth here. Will our last piece fit in? It fits. It's the perfect size, but this piece needs to be installed second. This piece that I just cut needs to be installed first, and then this end piece here will get installed second, because I can't set this groove down on top of the other plank. Anyways, let's see if I can even get it out. It's the edge piece. Oh no! The whole freaking floorboard over here just got lifted up. So see how there's this little gap here still? And that's where these two planks are supposed to come together and lock together. Typically you would just go to the end and you would use a little sample piece and a rubber mallet, and you just put it on the edge and you gently tap that together like you've seen me do this video. But seeing as I can't get the mallet over there, I'm gonna use a pry bar instead to kind of pry off of the wall and hopefully get those two to lock together tightly. Put this board there to protect the wall. I'm just gonna Well, what do you guys think? I think it came out freaking awesome. I still actually have to finish up with the molding, the quarter round molding, but to do that I need a special tool to get nice clean 45-degree cuts, and I don't have that tool right now, so that's gonna be a project for another day. Right now I actually have to get started packing because I'll be leaving to LA tomorrow to visit some family. So the project is done for now. And overall, I think it was a pretty straightforward and easy enough install. Anyways, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys, like always, for watching. If you're looking for a camping video this week and you didn't see my video that I posted on Wednesday, that one's a camping video, so feel free to go check that out. I'll see you guys in the next one.